It is 7 o'clock. I am calling this Germantown School District Board of Education meeting to order. If you can, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Official meeting notification, Dr. Reuter.
Public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those news medias who have requested such notices, and to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the Germantown School District website, as well as cable access channel 96.
Thank you. Roll call.
Medved.
Here.
Myself, I am here. Reineman, absent excused. Soderberg.
Here.
Loth.
Here.
Ewert.
Here.
Pollock.
Here.
Item 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Bob and Tom. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item 3, reports. We have none. Moving on to item 4, citizen comments. We have a few people. Up first is Jennifer Clapper. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen Clapper. I am a math teacher at the high school and I am your GEA representative for this meeting. Please let me know if you have any questions and I will try to answer them if I can, or I will bring them back to GEA leadership for follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Sarah Larson.
Good evening. I figured since you always get complaints about things, I wanted to say kudos to our new Director of Teaching and Learning, as well as the Teaching and Learning Committee. It certainly was evident that you did your homework regarding the standards and the adoption of them. Very pleased at the discussion and how you'll be limiting it to Section 3 only. That is awesome. It shows that you are very in tune with what the direction of the community is, and that's greatly appreciated. And a welcome to Dr. Reuter for his first meeting. We are very thrilled to see you here, and hopefully you've been receiving a lot of warm welcome from the community. We look forward to all the great things you're going to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all. We are going to move on to approval of the minutes, June 27, 2022 closed session, and June 27, 2022 Board of Education. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of June 27, 2022 closed session and Board of Education minutes.
Second.
Mr. Barney, Mr. Pollock, second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item 4, Teaching and Learning Committee, July committee meeting update. Mr. Ewert.
So this evening, we discussed quite a bit about the state standards and what we are and are not adopting in regards to what's posted on the state site. We are limiting our adoption to what will be posted in sections 3 of those standards across the English language, mathematics, sciences, and standards for social studies.
And you have a motion with that?
We do have we're bringing forward with a positive recommendation, the following motion. Adopt Wisconsin's academic standards in the area of literacy, math, social studies, and science K through 12. I move to approve, I move to approve the proposed notice of the student academic standards that are in effect for the 22-23 school year. As proposed notice was presented to the board in written form with the date of July 18th, 2022 in the board's packet of supplemental materials for the meeting, all pursuant to sections 120.12 sub 13 sub B and section 118.30 of the state statutes. And I move that the board direct the administration administration to provide parental or parents and guardians of the Germantown District with notice of the board-adopted student academic standards that are in effect for the 2022-23 school year on the school district website. And that posting is attached to the packet.
Thank you. That comes to the board with a positive recommendation. Does not require a second. Discussion. All right, I will say we appreciate that we put in the effort as well to get these standards to us and that you've actually dug into them. And I want to thank Jake for letting us know that the local control part of it is still important. While we have standards, we also develop our own curriculum off of those standards, and we use the standards that we prioritize as the most important for us. So appreciate all the work that goes into that. There's a lot of information presented in standards. You know, it's pages and pages and pages, and we go all the grade levels. So we know what kind of work that entails. As someone that was on the committee for many years, I know what it takes to put all of that together. So appreciate all the hard work with the committee and with our new teaching and learning director. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, Finance Committee. Mr. Lowe.
Yes, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening, and we discussed the July vouchers. We had a couple questions for Brittany that she answered. We also discussed software and our annual security purchases for that. Brittany covered her variance report. And then board item 7B is the 2022-2023 preliminary budget. Brittany covered this pretty well in finance, but I'm going to ask her to give the Cliff's Notes version for the full board meeting. She wants to talk about it a little bit, and after all, she spends the full year on it, and we wouldn't want to skip over it. Brittany, it's all yours.
Sure. Reported in detail at the Finance Committee today. I brought forward the preliminary budget for 2022-23 with many assumptions still built into it. The board does approve the preliminary budget so we can continue with our purchases until it gets approved by the community at the annual meeting. So as of right now, the budget is a balanced budget, again with many assumptions that will be updated by October 24th annual meeting.
Okay, thank you. And so the Finance Committee brings forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the 2022-2023 preliminary budget.
That comes with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Do we have discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Okay, next item was on the full board agenda is item 7C, and this was discussion about a new truck for the food service. The old truck was leased. It's ready to be turned in at the end of the lease, and Brittany and the other Brittany from the food service, Brittany Squared, decided it would be better if we purchased a truck because we don't put enough miles on to justify a leased truck. So we bring forward a motion to move forward with a positive recommendation to the full board to purchase a 2022 Chevrolet Express van with 14-foot cargo port body and liftgate from Lynch Truck Center not to exceed $51,826 funded from the Food and Nutrition Budget Fund 50.
That comes with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Any discussion?
I'll just point out that because we own it, we've discussed this in the past, that our students can't work on it if it's a lease, but our students can work on it with our teaching staff since we own it. So I don't know, the only difficulty I see in that is maybe the students are in-house at the same time we need to use the truck for deliveries to the grade schools and things, right? So,
Most of the deliveries are done before noon.
oh,
Most
okay.
of them are done in the morning because the food needs to get there before the students
Right,
eat.
right.
And then I don't believe there's a run in the afternoon. They just pick up the next days, they pick up that and then drop off the next food
Okay,
the
so
following day.
afternoons-
So we should be fine.
Afternoons are open, we might say. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, I think the initial cost of a truck is pretty expensive, obviously, but I think in the long run, being able to keep the truck longer and be able to keep it ourselves and be able to use it for many, many years, hopefully, if we maintain it, hopefully better than the lease truck, we'll be able to save money in the long run. So, good idea. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Okay, and then board item 7D is 2022-2023 district copy paper purchases. Always a very hot and exciting topic in the Germantown School District. Anyway, we don't have to worry about purchasing a full truckload of paper this year thanks to inflation and supply chain issues. So Brittany has kind of asked us to allow the purchasing department or business office to purchase paper when needed and when they can get it, and not to exceed last year's budget. So what we're doing is bringing forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation to order white and colored paper for the district at the best price in the quantity available throughout the 2022-2023 school year, as needed, not to exceed the 2021-2022 budget of $34,412.
Okay, that comes to the board with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
And that's all we had.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
You're welcome.
Moving on to item 8, Insurance Committee. Mr. Barney.
Yes, thank you. Insurance Committee met this evening. Our only topic of discussion was self-funded insurance. The committee brings forward with a positive recommendation to the board to approve the transition to self-funded insurance in the Germantown School District beginning January 1st, 2023.
Any discussion?
Yes. Just a few notes. Mr. Nowak, please put me back in line if I stray. From the committee meeting, it sounded like the providers that we've selected give us a very close match, 99% in some cases, with our existing utilization, so there should be very little disruption for our plan participants. And discussion at the committee level, it was also determined that there should not be a need for additional staff, either in the business office or HR, in order to process self-funded insurance claims.
Very good. Any questions? Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. That's all for
That is all from insurance.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, new business. Discussion and action to approve 2022-2023 student and athletic activities handbook. Dr. Ryder.
Yeah, our middle, elementary, and high school staff, as well as co-curriculars and activities, spent some time at the conclusion of the school year reviewing their handbooks as outlined in the report, and they provided a one-page addendum to any changes in language for the board to review to approve said handbooks to be utilized as students come back to school in the fall. The co-curricular handbook, I think will have a change in when that comes to the board, as I would like to bring that with Ms. Nerdl in the spring versus in the summer, as students are already signing off on their co-curricular handbook for fall sports. So the students who have already signed off, Ms. Nerdl will contact those families with the addendum page to make sure that they're okay with the changes and they can comply with that as well. But we've outlined a cover page with links to the current and future handbooks. Ms. Packer has gone through to format them, edit them, and make them all look very similar in the cover with the school logos and those type of things. So it's a more uniformed approach. So any questions you have about any of those addendums, I can do the best to answer those or reach out directly to our principals if there's any further questions.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the 2022-2023 Germantown School District Student Handbooks and Co-Curricular Handbook Addendums as presented.
Second.
All right, Mr. Pollock, Mr. Ewert, second. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item B, discussion and action to approve 2022-2023 Board of Education meeting schedule revision. Dr. Ryder.
Yes. The current calendar that you approved as a board for your board meetings, we are asking Ms. Altendorf and I to make an addendum to the calendar and hold our annual meeting on October 24th, which gives us more time to understand from the state total financing and what will take place. It still complies with DPI's timeline to have an annual meeting before the 31st of October. So it gives Brittany more time to prepare and better understand our funding sources and what that will look like for the projected year moving forward. So we'd ask to make that change that we would then make the change on the district website transparent.
Good idea. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the revision of the Germantown School District Board of Education meeting schedule to reflect the annual meeting for the 2022-2023 school year to take place on October 24th, 2022.
Second.
Mr. Barney? Mr. Soderberg, second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Barney, did you want to speak to the August 8th?
I will,
After.
yeah, before we move on to the next item, I have something else.
Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Go ahead.
All right. There is a Germantown Village Plan Commission meeting on August 8th. The latest information I have is that they'll be discussing the plan to develop possibly 322 apartments in Germantown. That's the same day that we are scheduled to have committee meetings in August. I'm guessing we'll likely have Finance Committee. I'm not sure what other committees might need to meet that evening.
I would believe we'd probably have a teaching and learning committee for updates around program and review work that's happening. Other than that, possibly personnel, if there's any need
All right.
for that, but
Is-
for sure, finance and teaching.
Is there a possibility to maybe start earlier, maybe 5 p.m. with committee meetings? I'm not sure if that works for the rest of the board, just so we hopefully finish soon enough that some of us could go to the Plan Commission meeting and make comments there if we have comments either for or against their proposed development.
I think we'll arrange that. Otherwise, we could possibly move that date to Tuesday. We'll kind of poll the board and find out how we can make an adjustment so that that can happen. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'll talk to the directors to see who possibly will be running a committee, and in my Friday update, provide you with that information with the proposed timeline.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, discussion and action regarding school safety. We had an update last month from Bob on what safety looked like in Germantown, and Mr. Barney, I think, has something he wants to add to that.
Sure. In your background, you should have seen a resolution that I drafted based on the statements by Bob Soderberg from the last meeting. Out of courtesy, I have shown this to our Assembly Representative, Dan Knodel, and I also sent a copy to Chief Snow at the Germantown Police Department. By no means, if we pass this, does this change board policy. It's essentially letting the state know that we need more options to keep our kids safe. If it does pass, well, either way, if any other school district in the state agrees in part or in whole, they are free to make a copy of this and approve it at their meetings, because the state needs to hear from a lot more districts than just Germantown if there's going to be a change made. So with that being said, I'll go through the motion, or excuse me, a resolution. A resolution of the Germantown Board of Education requesting immediate changes to Wisconsin statutes and funding of K-12 education to increase school safety. Whereas during the June 27, 2022 Germantown Board of Education meeting, Director Bob Soderberg requested more security steps be considered to, quote, ensure our kids and teachers go home safe, end quote. And whereas the Board of Education values our ongoing relationship with the Germantown Police Department and the Washington County Sheriff's Department and their continued efforts to keep our buildings safe and secure. And whereas the right to bear arms is defined and protected by the Constitution of the United States and the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. And whereas the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990 allows possession of a firearm on school grounds if authorized by the state. And whereas the Wisconsin State Legislature, signed by Governor Walker, enacted 2011 Wisconsin Act 35 on July 8th, 2011, a statute that allows most adults to lawfully carry a concealed firearm in Wisconsin after November 1st, 2011, if they obtain a concealed carry license. And whereas 2011 Wisconsin Act 35 failed to contain the necessary language authorizing a license holder to possess a firearm on school grounds. And whereas losing one life at a school shooting is too many. And whereas criminals do not follow laws, including gun laws. And whereas the gun-free school zone signs do nothing but notify a criminal that there will be few, if any, people in that building that can defend themselves. And whereas a sign stating staff is armed and trained to use deadly force sends a message that the school will not be an easy target. And whereas soft on crime district attorneys and judges around the state set ridiculously low bail and weak sentences, which led directly to the massacre that occurred at the 2021 Waukesha Christmas Parade. And whereas the CDC found that 1 in 5 children had a mental disorder, but only about 20 of those children received care from a mental health provider. And whereas the Germantown Board of Education believes in local control. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education requests that the state of Wisconsin provide mobile weapon detection systems similar to what is used at professional sporting events. And be it further resolved that the Germantown Board of Education requests that the state of Wisconsin provide and fund mental health services and Students for Tools, which may include smartphone apps. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education requests the state of Wisconsin create laws that mandate high bail and strong sentences for violent offenders. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education requests the state of Wisconsin provide advanced defense and firearm training to all school staff that wish to attend. And be it further resolved that the state of Wisconsin provide adequate funding for Germantown School District to implement school security aids as allowed per HR 218. And finally, be it further resolved that the Germantown Board of Education requests Wisconsin's concealed carry statutes be amended to allow a license holder to possess a firearm on school grounds and within school buildings if authorized by the local district.
Thank you.
So with that, I will make a motion to adopt the resolution and have it sent to all assembly representatives, state senators, and our governor.
I'll second.
Go ahead, Bob.
Mr. Soderberg,
Bob.
second. Any discussion?
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Barney for putting this resolution together. We all feel very passionate about safety and security in our schools, and the catastrophic event that happened in Uvalde, Texas was a game changer for me, which is why at the last board meeting I said what I said. And I'm pleased that the board is moving this forward. We're not changing policy at the school district, not yet. If this goes to the Assembly and the Senate and the governor and laws are changed, then it comes back here for further discussion from a policy standpoint. But this is the right step forward, the right thing to do for our kids and our teachers, because we can't allow what happened in Texas to happen here. Even though we do have very mature and robust and best-in-class safety and security systems, we need to do more for our kids and our teachers. So I want to thank Mr. Barney for moving this forward, and I want to thank my colleagues for your vote tonight. So thank you.
In support of this, unfortunately, yesterday there was another incident at the Greenwood Park Mall in Indiana, and it proves that a good man with a gun can stop a bad man with a gun. So we'd like to think that the bad man with a gun or bad person with a gun would never show up at Germantown, but it'd be nice to have a good man or person with a gun to stop that bad person with a gun. The other thing is, I just have a question about what's at the bottom of page 29, because I might not know the terminology. It's the now therefore be it resolved that the Germantown Board of Education requests that the state of Wisconsin provide mobile weapon detection systems similar to what is used at professional sporting events. What is that? What are we talking about here?
If you do an internet search, there are technologies out there that can detect concealed weapons. Maybe not all the time, but at least some of the time, which goes farther than what we have today.
Is it a metal detector as you're walking?
No.
No?
No, it'll detect both handgun, long guns, and backpacks on your person with maximum throughput. So you're not going to be, it's not going to be like airport type security.
Yeah, that's kind of my
It's not going to be
question.
like that.
Okay,
So,
so pretty much you just keep on moving in.
right, and then the application, and there's still a lot more work needs to be done on this, but you would put these devices outside of the perimeter so that people would go through them, and if it would alarm, if we would get our school aid staff, they would engage that person. So again, the thought process was to stop it from getting inside the school.
Okay, very good.
Or it could be useful for sporting events as well.
Amen, yep. Yep.
No, I appreciate you putting the work into this. Getting our state legislators to start acting on these things would be very nice, and I think we have a legislator that, a body that is willing to work on this, so I'm hopeful that this goes somewhere. So thank you for your hard work.
I'll date myself here, but I was in high school in 1999 when one of our first incidents like this was nationally publicized in Columbine. So I know what attending a school is like, thinking that can happen, and it's not a fun experience. We had a great school. We didn't have any of those issues, but it was still a possibility. As we see them ramp up and continue to ramp up, we have to do something. Our law enforcement here is trained very well in active shooter response. I believe Texas's law enforcement is trained very well in similar processes. Unfortunately, it seems to have failed down there. With that, the response time matters in these events. And it doesn't matter that the cops are responding to these events to engage and stop. It's the time that it takes for them to get there. And if we have people on site that can engage and end the threat before it causes harm, we'll be better for it. So thank you both for raising this issue and pushing it to our state leaders.
I think the reality of it is that this is an uncomfortable conversation. It needs to be an uncomfortable conversation because the reality of it is we all want to believe that this won't happen here. But the reality of it is we have to prepare ourselves as if it might. And so the list, I mean, we all have kids. So, we all have this, and some of us have kids in the schools now. And so we have a personal connection to a lot of this. And the bottom line is that this is a comprehensive list of things for our legislators to consider. I hope they do take action on at least some of these items, because to the earlier point, the better prepared we can be with whichever are listed here, if we adopt them as a school district, in theory, the safer we can try to be. And that's really the key at the end of the day.
Okay. No further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you again, Mr. Barney.
You're welcome.
Item D, discussion and action to approve 2022-2023 teacher resignations. Mr. Noah.
Thank you. We have 3 resignations to bring forward tonight. Ashley Rush has submitted a letter of resignation effective June 27th, 2022. Ashley was hired in August of 2018 as a special education teacher at County Line Elementary School. In addition, Kristen Dine submitted a letter of resignation effective July 15th, 2022. Kristen was hired in August of 2012 as an 8th grade teacher at Kennedy Middle School. Last year, she served as a 4th grade teacher at Rockfield Elementary School. Finally, Jocelyn Ritker is resigning from her regular contract at Rockfield effective June 10th, 2022, to take a job share position at Rockfield Elementary School, which I'll speak more to when we talk about teacher contracts. We ask that you approve all three of these resignations. You'll see below is the contractual language around liquidated damages. Specifically, it speaks to the fact that resignations after July 1st incur a $500 liquidated damage fee. After August 1st, $750, and after August 15th, a fee of $1,000. In this case, Ashley Rush was before that window, so there wouldn't be liquidated damages. Kristen Dine would be assessed the $500 liquidated damages fee, which has actually already been paid. And finally, Jocelyn Rittger would not be assessed because she's remaining with us.
I'll entertain a motion.
I just want to clarify,
Oh.
we have to put Jocelyn Rittger in because technically she's moving from one contract type to another.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resignations of Ashley Rush, Kristen Dine, and Jocelyn Rittger, and thank them for their years of service to the students, their families, and to the Germantown School District. Approve posting and filling the vacancies.
Second.
Mr. Lois, Mr. Ewert, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item E, discussion and action to approve 2022-2023 teacher contracts. Mr. Noah.
Thank you. We have 4 contracts to bring forward tonight. First, Rachel Stallings, a 4K kindergarten teacher at Amy Bell. This position is coming into play because of staffing needs. This is a .5 position at $33,250. This is a part-time contract. Second and third of the two that I talked about, these are the job share situations, which we haven't had one of those in a while, but we worked through this with Dr. Stousland, Dr. Reuter, and Dr. Croat. I was surrounded by doctors. Jeez. But essentially, you're looking at a situation in which 2 teachers will collaborate or come together to work in one role. In this case, Jocelyn Rittger is a current full-time teacher going to part-time. Allison Petroff is a former teacher who left us a few years back to come back in this capacity. They're both very excited about it. We feel they're very, very strong teachers, and we had a lot of discussion around how this would work, the parameters to make it successful. Dr. Croat is will initiate conversations with parents around what this will mean. We got in discussion with Board Member Ewert earlier around all the positive things that could come of this. So it's a neat experience. But the 2 contracts, Allison Petroff, first grade, .5, part-time, part of a job share at $28,650. Jocelyn Rittger, first grade teacher, part of the job share, .5, part-time, $24,244. Then finally, the last contract is a regular contract, Carissa Frank, kindergarten teacher at County Line Elementary School. This is a 1.0 position, a regular contract at $65,000. We ask that you approve all 4 of these contracts.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the .5 FTE part-time contract for Rachel Stallings at $33,250, the .5 FTE part-time contract for Allison Petroff at $28,650, the .5 FTE part-time contract for Jocelyn Richter at $24,244, and the 1 FTE regular contract for Carissa Frank at $65,000.
Second.
Mr. Soderberg, Mr. Pollock with the second. Any discussion? Mike.
Thank you for working with the teachers for this job share situation, Mike. But my question is, how does this work? Is it an every other day thing for the teachers, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, it's an every other day. They map out kind of how they do it. I think Wednesdays was their common day.
So they'll split their time on Wednesday, so they'll work 2.5 days, one at the front end and then one at the back end.
Okay, thank you, just wanted to know.
And to that communication piece too, Dr. Crowe is going to let all the parents at that grade level, as class lists are not finalized yet, know of a job share classroom. That way, if parents that have any apprehension would be able to say, I'd rather not have my child in a classroom set up that way, and then from there, they can rearrange class lists as need be. And then what we're going to do is quarterly send a parent survey home to help understand what the parent's perspective of this is and what's working, so that we can determine if it would be a longevity of a job share or it's not something that maybe the parent base would like or not like.
So are both teachers there all day on Wednesday together, or how is it on that day?
I think there's an overlap. It's not going to be all day, if I remember correctly, but there's a significant overlap.
A few hours or something?
Towards the midday.
Okay, thank you.
I think to our discussion earlier on it, there was some communication work you were doing to ensure that they were in lockstep with what was occurring in the classroom and with each student throughout various issues.
Right, yeah, we had a list of parameters, trying to think of some examples.
They were unique to the situation where both teachers will be at parent-teacher conferences. If there's an IEP, they'll both be a part of those big pieces that a regular, if there was one classroom teacher, would be part of. So
If communication goes home about something, both teachers are in the loop.
if a parent requests to meet with both teachers, they're both there. It's not, oh, it's your turn versus my turn. So we went through some of those parameters and explained what that would look like in action with the teachers.
Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item F, discussion and action to approve donations. Dr. Ryder.
Yeah, so the Rockfield PTA has generously donated $18,000 towards the purchase of smart TVs and the wall mount hardware for the mounting of those TVs. Smart TVs are kind of where education's going in the replacement of smart boards. As smart boards have kind of phased out and they are caught, as Mr. Baumgartner spoke in the past, they're very expensive to replace bulbs and parts, a lot of parts are not being manufactured anymore. So I recommend the approval of this donation from the Rockfield PTA to be utilized for smart TVs at Rockfield Elementary.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to thank the Rockfield PTA for their donation and the generosity of that donation and approve the donation as listed.
Second?
Mr. Barney, Mr. Pollock with a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just a couple comments about our PTAs, not just at this school, but across the board, district-wide. They constantly rise to the challenge and hit grand slams out of the park and go above and beyond. And this is something they shouldn't be doing. This is something that the district should be budgeting for and paying for. But they saw a need, they saw an opportunity, and they just got it done, whether it's technology or playground equipment or whatever. All the moms and dads and the volunteer leaders of the PTAs, hats off to all those folks. They're doing a wonderful job. So.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big part of what makes Germantown as good as we are. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to kind of talk a little bit about this. So I know there was some consternation with the PTA at Rockfield in regards to this, as our district was working on a budgetary process to replace and fix those smart boards. They were offering to speed up that process, and I'm glad to see that they were able to do that. That's amazing to help us out with that, especially with our budgetary restraints that we have right now. But not only to speed up that repair process and replacement process, but to enhance it with the move to a smart TV, which sounds like it'll be a better technology to fit us going forward. So thank you.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes, and thanks again. The board will entertain a motion to go into closed session if needed pursuant to section 19.851F to consider financial, medical, social, and personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary considerations of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where Part B applies, which is discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any persons referred to in such histories or data or involving in such problems or investigations. The board will take action in closed session if necessary or appropriate to entertain a motion to reconvene into open session to take further action if necessary and appropriate, and/or to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to go into closed session for the reasons stated.
Second.
I was going to say, can you repeat that, please?
Mr. Barney, Mr. Pollock with a second. Roll call.
Medved?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Soderberg?
Yes.
Loth?
Yes.
Ewert?
Yes.
Pollock?
Yes.
Thank you. We are now in closed session at 7:40. Thank you all for coming, and please drive home safely.